I'm getting really creeped out. I'm gonna go get my dogs.
Till the candles burn down this place.
So this next one I'm going to talk about is another classic. It's Hookman. And there are so many different versions to this story, I can't even begin to explain to you all of them. It'll be big details, little details, just there's so many different versions to this one. This is the one that I always have a hard time discussing because there's just so many different versions. Everyone's heard a different version. Again, urban legends, that's what they do. So my version, the one that I heard, there's a guy and there's a girl and they get in their car and they go to this secluded spot in the woods that's overlooking the town, and they're just gonna, you know, make out. And as they're, you know, kissing and stuff, the radio is on and there's this broadcast over the radio about this lunatic that escaped a nearby asylum, and just for everyone to go home, lock their doors and all that. So the girl hears this and immediately wants to go home because she's just freaked out. And the guy like kind of tries to convince her to stay, and it's like, oh, it's fine, we're in the car, nothing can get us here, you know, we're good. But the girl keeps insisting on going home, so the guy kind of gets annoyed. Also, side note, the lunatic has a hook for a hand. So then, to intensify the situation even more, the girl swears that she hears this sound of something scraping the side of their car and just like yells at the boyfriend to get them out of there, like, let's go. He eventually does what she asks and they drive back to her house. She lets herself out and she's about to go into the house, and as she shuts the door, she screams, and the boyfriend gets out of the car, runs around to the other side and goes, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she points, and there is a hook hanging on the handle of the passenger side door. So, like I said, there's a bunch of different versions to this. There's one where the boyfriend dies. There's one where they both die. That kind of coincides with the dead boyfriend urban legend, and I'll tell you about that one. So the dead boyfriend, there is a couple, again, it's dark outside, and they're traveling along the road and they get lost, and they see a house in the distance, and I believe they're running low on gas as well, so they're kind of looking for a place to take shelter for the night. So the girlfriend pleads for him not to get out of the car, but he does, and he just tells her to lock the doors and everything will be okay. So he goes to investigate the house and to ask them for help. Well, while she's there, she starts to get really freaked out. She keeps hearing these noises and stuff, so she freaks out, and she has a blanket in the car, and she just kind of covers her face with this blanket. And after a while, she realizes that he's taking a really long time, so she's growing even more paranoid, and then she starts to hear a really weird scraping noise on the top of the car. So she's really freaked out and puts the blanket over her head again. A little while goes by, and then she hears this tap tap tapping on her chamber door. No, hears this loud banging on her window, which freaks her out, and she looks and sees that it's a police officer, and she realizes that a couple of cop cars have pulled up. She unlocks the door, the police officer helps her out of the car, and then he kind of shields her view of the car and walks her away from it. She tells him about her boyfriend and how he went to go investigate at the house, and the police officer's being very vague, and so are the other officers, and he just kind of keeps walking her to the cop car and trying to keep her from turning around. And then she finally turns around and she sees her boyfriend hanging from the tree above the car, and his fingers are scraping the top of the car. So she heard his fingernails sliding back and forth. A couple different versions of this one. In this one, the boyfriend is horribly mutilated. There's another version where the police don't come at all and the tapping on the window is the killer. And she thinks that she's safe as long as she has the doors locked. But the killer holds up the keys and just kind of creepily, playfully, like telling her, like, I'm gonna get in the car. And that's how the story ends. Basically telling you that he killed the boyfriend and has the keys and now he's gonna kill her. So I like the other version better where at least the girlfriend survives. Kind of see how the dead boyfriend and Hookman kind of go hand in hand because the boyfriend gets killed in a certain version and there's a crazy lunatic who guts people and everything. So sometimes people get those two intertwined and confused, which I have a couple of times. So this girl is home alone by herself. She goes to bed and it's kind of a routine for her dog to lay in his little bed right next to her bed, and whenever she gets scared or nervous, she kind of just hangs her hand off the side of the bed and the dog licks it, kind of like a comfort thing. So that's what happens when she goes to bed and then she falls asleep. She wakes up and she hears a strange noise. So she's kind of creeped out. She puts her hand over the side and the dog licks her hand. She feels a little bit comforted and then she goes back to sleep. Then she wakes up to a really weird and creepy drip drip sound. She doesn't know where it's coming from, if it's something she needs to worry about, but you know how it is when you're home alone. Everything kind of seems creepy, especially if you're in that state of mind. She puts her hand over the side, the dog licks her hand, and she gets up and she goes to investigate where the drip sound is coming from. So she walks into the bathroom and it's coming from the shower. And so she doesn't really think that much of it, but she's kind of on edge. She pulls the shower curtain back to find her dog hanging, and the drip drip sound that she heard was its blood hitting the floor of the tub. She screams, she runs back to her room, and she's gonna call her parents or the police or whoever, and when she gets back to her bedroom, she finds a note on her bed. She picks it up, and the note reads, "Humans can lick too." What? Yeah, okay. So those times that her dog was licking her hand and she could hear the drip drip sound, her dog was dead and the killer was licking her hand. That really freaked me out because, like, I would do that. You know, like, I'd put my hand over the edge or whatever, but after that, never again. I would never do it. It just freaked me out way too much. Let me know in the comments if you've heard about that one, because I'm genuinely curious because that one really got to me. And then the last urban legend I'm going to discuss is Mr. Bear's cellar. Now, this is one that I also learned about not too long ago. Back in the 70s or something. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 60s or it was like 60s or 70s, I'm thinking. There was a station that only had 2 channels on television. One was called Mr. Bear's Cellar, and then I don't remember what the other show was called. Now, there's speculation as to whether or not this show actually existed. There's evidence that points to it is, and then there's other evidence that says, well, that could just be fake. Like, why don't more people know about this? I don't know. Mr. Bear's Cellar was about this guy who would dress in this bear costume, and his show was low budget and it took place in a cellar, and he would read letters from kids, and it was just supposed to be a really friendly show. Now, I've seen clips of this on the internet, and let me tell you, it is creepy. If you Google Mr. Bear's Cellar or put it into YouTube, I'm sure you can find it. He looks creepy. I don't know why kids liked him. I don't know. But anyway, so the urban legend revolves around this little boy. I can't remember his name. We'll just say his name is Johnny. So he watches this bear all the time. He writes this letter telling Mr. Bear how much he loves the show and how much he wishes that he could visit. Mr. Bear writes about how they can hang out in the woods, and I don't know. It's just kind of creepy. So his dad agrees to drive him up there, and when they get up there, they find it taped off as a crime scene, and when they ask the police officers what happened. Basically, Mr. Bear had a bunch of children over in his cellar and started it on fire and burned them all alive. And there are rumors that he killed some and then saved the rest and kept them with him and raised them. And there have been stories saying that, oh, like this is true because one of the kids was my little brother. So it kind of makes you wonder, but then at the same time, wouldn't it have gotten better news coverage? I mean, something like this, there should be more records. So I don't know if it's real or not. It just seems so real from the people who talk about it as if it really did happen. And then there's the videos and the letter, and I don't know. It just seems like there's enough evidence. If you guys know the answer, by all means tell me, or just tell me your opinion. So that is it for my top 10 creepiest urban legends. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm working on a bunch of fall videos. You guys are going to love it, I promise, especially if you love fall. Go ahead and comment down below what your favorite creepy urban legend is, or which one freaks you out the most. And if there is an urban legend that I didn't mention here that's even creepier than all the ones I talked about, by all means, leave it down below and let me know, because I never get tired of reading creepy stories. And if you guys couldn't guess, my book recommendation is definitely Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's by Elvin Schwartz and it's illustrated by Stephen Gamble? Yes, Stephen Gamble. And I think there's about 3 of these. They are so entertaining, so creepy. A couple of them are a little bit funny. But mostly creepy. You guys will definitely enjoy it, especially with the holiday coming up and everything, getting you into the spirit. It's the perfect opportunity. So definitely check this book out if you're interested. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Bye. Every angle of me is a good angle. What am I saying? Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Welcome. That was creepy. Okay, here we go. Why are no words coming out or forming in here? I am so excited for September to start. No, it already started. What am I saying? Okay. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I got a little itch. Sorry. Not even kidding. I went and got my dogs and locked my room door. Sam. Stop snoring. How dare it get gloomy and rainy when I'm trying to film?